please make sure you go over to YouTube, subscribe, or you can always find us on any of the podcast platforms, and that's Fostering Change. Well, you know what? It's hard to believe that this month is almost over. National Adoption Awareness Month. Wow. It has been absolutely a nonstop roller coaster. I just got back from my mother-in-law's. We spent Thanksgiving there with, at least this time I had 3 of my boys go, which my one son went because, of course, he's got his learner's permit and wanted to drive. But before I get started on this podcast, I have to say, happy birthday, Tristan. My son today turns 15 years old. I just want you to know, T, that you are just the light of my life. I am so proud to be your father. I am so lucky that you chose me and your dada. And we just want you to know that the sun definitely rises and sets when it comes to you, Tristan. So I hope your 15th birthday is amazing today. And Daddy will definitely make sure that that happens. My next guest, I know April. I'm excited to have April on. April actually is the Chief of Staff for Anthem, Blue Cross and Blue Shield in Indiana Medicaid Health Plan. And for those of you who have heard this story before, for the longest time that we actually had comfort cases and we never had a corporate partner. And people would say to me all the time, why do you not have a corporate partner? And I would always say, I think it's my mouth is too big. And I said, and then lo and behold, our corporate partner, our very first one, was Anthem in Indiana. And here I'm located in the state of Maryland. But since we have been partnering, and by the way, everybody, this is my friend April. April, welcome to Fostering Change.
Thank you.
April, I think we're going on our 6-year partnership.
Yep.
Yeah, that's and right. I think just in Indiana, we've done 7,000 cases.
That sounds right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of cases.
And because of that, it also opened up the entire door for Blue Cross Blue Shield, Elevance, AmeriGroup, which we joined the Georgia Takeover, all started because of our partnership, in Indiana. So to me, it's just like such a full circle moment. So thank you for all the love, the support, because we have, just in the last 2 weeks in Georgia, we packed 2,000 cases with AmeriGroup. So, I want to jump right in and talk about you for a minute. We know how wonderful Anthem is. We know, as I always say, Anthem is just not a health insurance company, but they are a full body circle of the foundation of our community, which we know that. But what, your story being a foster parent, first of all, you have a daughter, Madison, she's 15 years old, but then you became a foster parent, you and your husband, and ended up adopting. Did you always think that you were going to be a foster parent?
I did not. It was not on our radar initially, but just something that happened through our own journey. We had, with fertility issues and things. So, we just had friends in our lives that really blessed us with planting the seed to say, we know that you guys want to grow your family. And there's a lot of kids that, are looking for a home to spend some time in with. And you guys might make a great family for foster care. So if you ever considered it. So at that point, the answer was no, but quickly turned to yes.
So, for me, adopted 5 kids. My husband and I had foster care, me growing up in foster care. Foster care was not something that I even thought about, to be honest with you, when it came to the adoption part. I've always thought that my husband and I would adopt overseas. And it was my husband who was like, why are we not adopting in foster care? 14 years ago, when we took the jump, they did it. They called it foster to adopt. I mean, it was very common. I know now they've changed the vocabulary because, it's all about reunification, which, by the way, I am 100% supportive of reunification. I think foster care is not the answer whatsoever. I think, if anything that we can do as a collective group as a community and keep families together, the better off the child will be. When your younger daughter, Janiyah, arrived, was her goal reunification?
It was. So we went through quite the process of, she was having visits with her family. We were working through the case managers and her therapist to prepare her for the potential that she may be going back to live with family that she hadn't lived with since she was a baby. So by that time, she was almost 4. So we were kind of that, home in the middle, trying to help her to provide stability while they prepared her for potentially going back to her biological family after all those years in foster care. And then, just through a series of events, the reunification process just to continue to deteriorate. And that's when we were able to, be granted the opportunity to adopt her. So, which we were very thankful for and happy to do.
I have to tell you that is some of the hardest moments as a foster parent, or
Yeah.
because same situation with our kids. At first the reunification is there, the visits are there, and then they start getting less and less.
Yes.
Less.
Yes.
And the issue that I have, and I say this quite often, and by the way, all the hate that you're going to come out to me, I get it all the time. It is not fair to a child to sit on the sidelines of a game and wait for adults to play and be adults. And I do believe that every person falls. I do believe that every person deserves to have time to get to a situation that they can support their children. But I do not believe in that we should drag this on, because I personally feel that is doing more damage to the child, especially because we live in such a society where and by the way, this is for the birth parents too. I mean, we live in a society where we think the birth parents are bad, and then all of a sudden the tables are turning, the foster parents are bad, and everybody's bad. And and I've always thought, the best thing we could ever do for a child when they enter foster care is that everybody comes to the table together. The birth parents come, the foster parents come, the CASA comes, the social worker comes, the guardian ad litem comes, and a therapist comes. And then we all talk, and we all sit and talk, what is the best for this child? And hopefully what that does is show the birth parents that the community wants to support them and get their children back. But I see so many times that there's just so much anger with everybody on that.
Yeah, I think we definitely witnessed that. I don't know, I think that I try to put myself in the shoes of Jania's birth parents, so at the time, it was just her father who was the one who was trying to maybe be reunified with her. And I do try to put myself in his shoes, coming from different backgrounds and trying to get back on his feet to a point where he could care for her. But I think that, we did see the writing on the wall earlier in the process than later, but it still took a full 18 months of back and forth and her, being in our home and visits. And then, like you said, kind of the visits get more intermittent, and, problems arise. And so it took a full 18 months, and it really took a toll on Jania because she was so young and didn't understand. And it definitely took a toll on our family, just trying to understand what was going to happen next. Like, what are the next steps? And, to your point, is everyone actually at the table at the same time? And I think that is definitely a struggle when you have so many people involved in each foster case. So,
yeah, no, I agree with you. And it only takes one person to be against you to make the whole entire wall crumble down. And I remember, when my kids and it took us a long time to actually get the adoption going. And a lot of that is because 14 years ago in the District of Columbia, they didn't believe that 2 white men could raise 4 Black children. So we had to fight against that. And, all of a sudden, we'd have birth mothers and, birth fathers, by the way, who never showed up, but birth mothers who, would go 9 months without a visit. Judge changes the goal to adoption. And then all of a sudden they show up for a visit, and then the goal gets changed back again. And it's that constant. And the thing that really, the one thing I'm so vivid, I remember we had taken our children for a visit, and we would always take them for the visit. We would take them, wait outside in the parking lot. And I remember my daughter walking out of the visit crying, and immediately I ran up to her and, I picked her up. I was like, sweetie, what's wrong? And she's like, she didn't show again. And she was
Yeah.
like 5 years old. And I just remember like her, gosh, that disappointment that, she just wanted to see her mom,
Yeah.
just wanted to see her mom. And, for that 1 hour, by the way, it's not,
Yeah. Right.
it's not like I'm asking you
Right.
to take up your whole day. Like, we are as parents that you didn't show up. April, if there was anything that, I love the question of the fact if there was something you could say, to someone who's considering fostering, what would you say to them?
I think one thing that in trying to be an advocate for kids experiencing foster care and for even people who are on the edge of thinking, could we do this? I always think a lot of people say somebody needs to take care of those kids. Isn't it a tragedy that there's all these kids that don't have a home? And I think sometimes you have to stop saying someone needs to do it and say, I need to do it. And it's not easy. I mean, I don't know of any foster situations where someone said, well, that was easier than I thought. That's not the case. But when I look at our daughter, when I look at Janiyah and where she is today versus where she was when we first met her and had her join our home, just to see the difference it's made in her life to give her that stability. I mean, that's a multi-generational change that you are making through one person. So the impact of what we were able to do with Janiyah and what we are doing just through loving her, giving her structure, having her be part of our family will change the course of time over generations, her children and their children. And so that's really what I try to remind people is it's not just this one life you're changing. You're impacting so many lives through this
Yeah.
one child.
Yeah, I was at a packing party over the weekend, and on Saturday for National Adoption Day, and a young boy walked up to me. He was a sophomore in college, and I just told my story, and he came up to me and he was like, my mother was in foster care, my my aunts and uncles were in foster care, and he was like, and I chose not to. That was going to be me, and I'm a sophomore in college, and I thought to myself, what amazing kid. He had amazing foster parents, because it is a generational thing that we continue to see. And by the way, I agree with you. I mean, being a parent in general is hard. Okay.
It's hard.
It's hard. Being a parent in general is hard.
Yeah.
And you never know, whether you naturally have your children or you adopt them through the love it's hard. But the myth that children in foster care are bad is so wrong,
Yeah.
but I will tell you, I mean, I have a son who has reactive attachment disorder. It's very difficult. I have a son with fetal alcohol syndrome, which, to see him today when at the age of 5, they told us we should institutionalize him. And now he's the 16 and he's the president of his school. Children are resilient.
Yes.
Children are resilient, and you also have to think about the fact that children come into the system because of choices other people made, and other people made. Do you actually keep in touch with the birth father?
Yes. We do through email. So my system is that if he reaches out to us, I happily respond and send pictures. We don't share information about the rest of our family. We keep it just focused on Janiyah, but I'm always trying to be responsive because again, in my heart, I try to remember what it feels like to be that other side of the coin, the parent who just wants to know how their child is doing. He doesn't ask anything from us. He just wants to know, is she doing okay in school? Is she listening? What's her favorite sport? And, that's just not something I think I should withhold from him because that's showing that he loves her. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy to supply information anytime he reaches out.
Yeah, we're, our kids came in different times and for different reasons, but two of our kids who arrived, I always say, I don't think that their birth mother, they should have never been taken from their birth mother. I feel like, the system, it's that same thing that, neglect is no more than poverty. And so we have a really great relationship with one of the birth mothers. And she comes to the house for holidays and special occasions, and I can call her anytime, and she's just and but it's taken years to get to that. I just want to tell you, there was lots of angry and hurtfulness in the beginning, but the thing I always want to say to my children is that I didn't keep you from your birth parents. Your birth parents are not in your life because of choices they made, and I think that that's something that we need to do. One of the things that I'm going to pick up on that you said, which by the way, I've been trying to get people to say this for almost 10 years now, is the fact that you call that they're children experiencing foster care, that trying to change that vocabulary that for so many years and generation these are foster kids, and instead these are kids who are experiencing foster care. And so I would say a big thank you for that. So the fact is you guys are amazing. Anthem, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, I can never say enough about you. I can never thank you all enough for all the love and support. You truly understand that, a child entering the system, how they step off that curb in the very first step is truly going to be the difference of what road they go down. And you and I both know that.
That's right.
We both know that. As we end this up, I have a question for you. If there was one thing that you could change, one thing that you could change about the system, what would that change be?
Ooh, that is such a great question. I think that you actually said it a couple minutes ago about putting the child first, the interest of the child first. From what I have seen and experienced, sometimes that gets lost. And again, the child gets ping-ponged, and there's trauma layered on trauma. And so, I think that the time it takes to move a child through the process, knowing that we do need to give all parties a chance to kind of, get stabilized. I think the timing it takes, and again, just whether or not the child is truly the number one priority, I think is what I would like to see changed, because I think that if that were to happen, we would have a lot more success stories with children being able to quickly move from experiencing foster care to experiencing stability. Which, that's what's going to allow them to be, better off emotionally, physically, and be able to thrive.
I believe that. April, I am 100% with you on that, because if you look at the statistics today, where we're looking at 80% of our death row inmates were in foster care, we as a society are failing these kids. And we're failing these kids because exactly what you said, we are not giving them stability. Listen up, everybody. This has been another amazing conversation. I am so excited when I get to have my friends on, when I get to really talk about things that each and every one of us should be talking about. How truly can we make the difference? As April had said, it's not like all these poor kids. We can do something. You can do something. Each and every one of us. And I say it all the time, not every one of you can foster, not every one of you can adopt. But the one thing I know that each and every one of you can do is volunteer. You can mentor these kids. They need it. They want to play basketball. They want somebody to sit down and read with them. They just want somebody to give them attention because they deserve it. Listen up, everybody. Until next time, by the way, Tristan, happy 15th birthday. Daddy's on his way home, and I can't wait to give you a big hug. And I hope you all have filled your bellies for Thanksgiving and getting ready to enjoy the next holiday that we have. Take care, everybody. Hey everybody, it's Rob Scheer, the founder of Comfort Cases, and thanks for tuning in to Fostering Change. You can actually watch a couple of episodes right here